Picture this. It's 2024 and the United States presidential elections have just concluded. Donald Trump emerges victorious. Can he pull the U.S. out of NATO? The implications of such a move could reverberate globally, shifting alliances and potentially altering the geopolitical landscape. But is it even feasible? Can a president single-handedly decide to sever ties with a long-standing military alliance? To understand the possibilities, we need to delve into Trump's past stance on NATO. Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, had a tumultuous relationship with NATO during his term. His stance towards the alliance was nothing short of controversial, often marked by criticisms and threats that sent ripples through the international community. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Trump was known for his vocal criticism of NATO, often calling it obsolete and unfair. He argued that the United States was shouldering an unfair burden, paying far more than its fair share to maintain the alliance. His statements were a departure from the usual U.S. policy, which traditionally valued NATO as a cornerstone of its global security strategy. But Trump didn't stop at criticism. He made waves when he threatened to pull the United States out of NATO. This wasn't a one-off statement. On multiple occasions, he questioned the value of the alliance and suggested that the U.S. might be better off going at it alone. These threats were met with concern and alarm, not just from other NATO members, but from the international community as a whole. Trump's stance was met with a variety of reactions. Some NATO members, feeling the pressure, pledged to increase their defense spending. Others expressed concern about the potential for instability and the weakening of the alliance. The international community watched with bated breath as the future of the decades-old alliance hung in the balance. Trump's approach to NATO was unconventional, to say the least. It raised eyebrows and caused a stir, but it also sparked important conversations about burden sharing and the future of the alliance. Whether you agree with his methods or not, his impact on NATO and the international community was undeniable. Trump's past stance on NATO raises questions about what he might do if he wins in 2024. Will he continue to push for increased burden sharing? Will he threaten to leave the alliance again? Or will he change his approach entirely? These are questions that only time can answer. For now, we can only speculate and prepare for what may come. Scene script. Fast forward to 2024, Trump wins the presidency again. What happens next? Let's imagine this scenario. In this hypothetical, Trump might attempt to withdraw the U.S. from NATO, a move he has hinted at in the past. However, the process is not as simple as flipping a switch. The United States is not a single entity, but a large, complex machine with many moving parts. The president is merely one cog in that machine. To pull the United States out of NATO, Trump would need the support of Congress, but this is where he could hit a roadblock. The U.S. Congress has historically been supportive of NATO, viewing the alliance as a critical component of American and global security. In fact, in 2019, the Bipartisan NATO Support Act was passed unanimously in the House of Representatives, reinforcing the United States' commitment to the alliance. This was a clear signal that Congress would not be easily swayed to support a NATO exit. Furthermore, Trump would need to convince the American public that a NATO withdrawal is in their best interest. This could prove to be a daunting task. Public opinion polls have consistently shown that a majority of Americans support NATO and believe in the importance of international alliances. Then there's the international perspective to consider. A U.S. withdrawal from NATO would send shockwaves through the global community, potentially leading to strained relations with our allies. It could create a power vacuum that other nations like Russia might be eager to fill. In this imagined 2024 scenario, Trump's desire to pull the U.S. out of NATO would likely face significant resistance. The checks and balances in place in our political system, the will of the American people, and the potential for international fallout all serve as roadblocks to such a drastic move. While the future remains uncertain, the implications of a U.S. withdrawal from NATO could be far-reaching. The United States pulling out of NATO could have profound global implications. Firstly, let's consider the potential impact on international security. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, has been the bulwark of the Western defense system since its establishment in 1949. Its primary purpose is to safeguard the freedom and security of its member countries through political and military means. Should the U.S., one of its founding members and a significant contributor to its military power, withdraw, The void could expose the alliance and its members to heightened security threats. Furthermore, a U.S. withdrawal from NATO could strain relations with its allies. Allies may interpret this move as an indication of the U.S. turning its back on collective defense commitments, leading to a loss of trust and potentially destabilizing alliances that have been in place for decades. This could also give rise to a drastic shift in international relations, possibly encouraging other nations to question the reliability of the United States as a strategic partner. Lastly, a significant shift in the balance of power in the world could ensue. A weakened NATO might embolden nations with adversarial relations to the alliance, potentially leading to an increase in global conflicts. It could also pave the way for Russia, among others, to exert greater influence on the international stage, disrupting the existing global order that the U.S. and its allies have painstakingly built over the years. So, while the question of whether Trump could pull the U.S. out of NATO if he wins in 2024 remains open, the potential implications of such a move are undeniably significant. The effect on international security, relations between the U.S. and its allies, and the global balance of power could be profound. This potential shift in the geopolitical landscape should not be taken lightly, and careful consideration must be given to the long-term implications of such a decision. The question of whether Trump could pull the U.S. out of NATO if he wins in 2024 remains open, but the potential implications of such a move are undeniably significant. We've explored Trump's past stance on NATO, speculated on his potential actions if he wins in 2024, and considered the implications of a U.S. withdrawal from the alliance. We've delved into the complexities of international politics, the multifaceted role of NATO, and the potential fallout of a major policy shift. It's clear that the world of geopolitics is a chessboard, with moves and counter-moves shaping the global landscape. While the future is uncertain, one thing is clear: the stakes are high. This is a conversation we need to continue having as we approach the 2024 elections.